All right, full disclosure, take one. And the reason why I like saying all right is because that's how the hockey guy starts a lot of his videos. So that's where I get that from. I want to talk about my channel. I guess it's been a little while since I've done a talk video like this. I don't think I've done any talk video quite like this one, but I'm quite sure anyway, without having looked back, because there are reasons why I don't always like to look back, and I'll probably get to that in this video. Hopefully, I will. But I think that the channel is now just over a year old, if I'm not mistaken. My wife ordered a tripod for this. This is just my cell phone. And she ordered that just over a year ago. I think it arrived on Christmas, maybe a day or two after that. And we're going to do some Christmas shopping for one another, actually, probably this coming weekend. This year, Christmas was kind of hectic for various reasons. But anyway, I'm already getting off topic like I do best. Um, so. But I think that the channel is about a year old now. I think my first video ever, a dock hockey video, went up on December 27th. It might have been the 28th or 29th, but whatever. Now it's the 29th over here anyway. So it's basically been a year. I'm going to call it a year, and I want to talk about a year. And yes, it's a cheesy title, an unreal year. And again, the channel was Unreal Hockey for a day or two. I might actually go back to Unreal Hockey, though at this point, would that not be strange? I do like the title Unreal Hockey better than Hockey Unreal, but Unreal Hockey wasn't available as a Gmail address, and one of the alternatives that was suggested was hockeyunreal@gmail.com, because I assume that there are a few other channels on YouTube with the handle Hockey Unreal, with Unreal Hockey, and so I assume that one of those has the email address, the Gmail address, Hockey or Unreal Hockey. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I don't like public speaking, obviously, but I do enjoy doing these videos, or else I wouldn't do them. So even, setting some nerves aside, these are still a lot of fun to do. Otherwise, I wouldn't do them. I do things I enjoy. So some different things I want to talk about here. And of course, I wrote things down to try to keep track of what it is that I want to talk about. I guess it would kind of start off with thank yous. And Peter Miller and PJet really, honestly, I don't think that there would be a Hockey Unreal if Peter Miller and PJet made and uploaded hockey content more regularly, more frequently. And should they decide to do so in the near future, I'm not saying that I would necessarily take my channel down and stop entirely, but I will be the first one who will happily take a step back, sit in the back seat or whatever, get the popcorn, as I said to Peter, and just gladly watch them upload some more of their content. But at the same time, I mean, to each their own. They might not enjoy doing this in the regular as much as I do. I actually, Peter Miller, probably Peter has the PM as proof. It was at least a couple of years ago, I think a few years ago now, that I think I reached out to him on Delphi via PM, and I said, I really enjoy your content. I can't remember it verbatim, but basically I told him that I really enjoyed his content, and I wish, that he would upload more regularly, like even project play, even showing some games. He was replaying the 71 season in its entirety at the time, I think, and some other things. And so I said, hey, if you want to upload those. And he, of course, got back to me and said, no, I don't think anybody'd be interested in watching that. And again, that's not verbatim, but that's basically what he told me at the time. And I thought, I would like to watch that. And so I kind of got the idea that maybe I would do a channel. And again, even if nobody else watches it, and I know some of my videos get more views than others, the ones that do tend to do not as well are the simply, the play videos, the just play stuff. But at the same time, while I will get into some regrets and possibly some advice, I sound kind of weird and conceited in saying that, but for people, if you happen to catch this and you want to, if you're thinking about starting your own channel, maybe doing something kind of similar, something community based, then I'll comment on that a little bit. But the just play stuff, I will continue to do it basically when I want to do it. I think maybe that's what separates me from some other channels, is I don't necessarily veer in the direction of what does well. Sometimes I'll do a video knowing, okay, this is probably going to get a few more views than a few, kind of thing. But I tend to do what I want to do. In that regard, I think this channel, and I'm not saying anything about the alternative. I heard actually, again, a channel that I'm a big fan of, recently talking about, hopefully he doesn't mind me mentioning him here, actually, because I didn't have room for him on the board, but who doesn't enjoy the replay gamer, right? And so the replay gamer, he talked about his seasons of replay basketball. And for some weird reason, I love that game even as a hockey player. I love just like watching and checking out that game. I have the Replay Basketball PC demo on my computer. I've played around with it a little bit. I think play is too strong a word for what I've done with that game, but I appreciate well put together games. And that one, of course, the demo is free and you can play part of a season, a chunk of a season, even for free up to a point. So I have it and I have it there. I have other fantastic games like Glory Days Boxing, which is again, it's on the computer and everything. I've peered through the instructions. Everything appears quite well written, and Anthony Crooks just seems like a really awesome guy. And again, fantastic to have in this community. And again, his name is not here, but back to the Replay Gamer, he talked about his Replay Basketball videos and doing well. And I completely understand. I mean, that to be honest with you, one who wants to be a successful YouTuber, that's probably, so I'm going to tell you what not to do as much as what to do, I guess. It would make perfect sense to have that on your channel. And I understand that. I appreciate that. I enjoy that. I get that. And I'm not and never would say anything bad about that. I completely see that and understand that. I'm a little more punk rock than that. I'm going to do whatever the heck I want to do. I'm going to do some stuff sometimes that I know. And again, in that way, I'm going to reference the hockey guy again. He'll talk randomly about some NHL player who played 6 or 8 seasons in the 1980s that none of his viewers under the age of 30 or 35 know anything about. And he knows it's, relative to the size of his channel, he's going to get a minuscule number of views. And he does it anyway, gets in the whiteboard again and the marker and writes out their entire record book career of sorts and comes up with some talking points and maybe some personal experiences that he's had at least following that player. So, and shares that. So, sometimes I like to do stuff like that, even if it won't necessarily get a whole lot of views or whatever. So I know I've been very impressed though with how this channel is done. It's certainly exceeded my expectations. And again, if I don't say it enough, thank you for that. Anybody checking this out, giving this any time, any consideration, as I like to say, support would be another good word for it. Anybody giving me any support at all. I'm not going to get specific with it. I hope I never do. I'm not going to tell you how to support, I'm not going to dictate to you how you should support this channel. I really appreciate everything. I appreciate the emails. Actually got an email this morning. It was from YouTube, probably a person, but it comes off like a bot about, you should upload content every day and your recent videos are good and da-da-da-da-da. And I thought, okay, but again, I'm going to evoke that. I'm punk rock. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. I seriously am punk rock. I might even get into that and the theme of that with Impact Play Hockey. I love just about any genre of music under the sun, especially performed live. Live music, I can get into it. Whatever the heck it is, I can get into it if it's done live. But I do have an affinity for sloppy, obscene, old-fashioned, straight up punk rock and early hardcore. Anyway, that's getting again off topic and besides the point. Guilty pleasure as that is. So I want to thank Peter Miller and PJet again. And I especially appreciate it's so gratifying. Again, I appreciate seeing everybody giving any time or consideration to this channel. But, when I see these guys pop up in comments, it's especially fantastic. It just really kind of makes my day. Baseball demos I have up and over here simply because, again, he's a pure baseball channel. I think he's a pure baseball channel. I don't think he's done anything other than pure baseball. Correct me if I am wrong. I don't follow all of his content. I can't even claim to follow a lot of it because, again, I'm more of a hockey guy than a baseball guy. But I can sincerely say that anytime that I have anything that I've put on the background, I sincerely enjoy what he does, and it's something to aspire to, actually. I think that he deserves, again, he has a lot of subscribers. He is quite a successful channel in this community, and, it's something for me to aspire to. And he's big on the project play as well. And the setup of the tripod and the cell phone, there's a pre-hockey Unreal, I think Apache 83 reach out to him asking, hey, about your tripod and your cell phone. I think actually I'd heard from Dave Gardner, who I'll get to you shortly, Dave. Goodness, this is already nearing 10 minutes, but about somebody anyways talking about setting up in the community. Maybe it wasn't Dave, but about setups, and maybe it was Uncle Ron actually who said, baseball demos. It was probably actually Uncle Ron, because Uncle Ron has some fantastic advice for YouTubers type videos and for getting into this. And so really it's a shame, and this is already worthy of a downvote. I'm going to even go as far as to say that Ron Juckett is not here. So Ron, I'm mentioning you, and I apologize that you're not here initially. And But and I just reached for the marker there, and I'm tempted to put your name here, but I'm mentioning you now. I'll probably even get back to you. I would like to do actually. I'll announce this aloud, so I'm more likely to keep to it. I would like to do like a. I've done a Al Red Sox fan. I'll get to him shortly. Get to you shortly, Al, and a Dave Gardner like tribute classic. To, where I just play a couple of games of teams that they hopefully like anyway. And should do something like that in 2022 for Uncle Ron, I think. And so it'll be Montreal and somebody. I have a request for Uncle Ron. Actually, I'm gonna get to you, Uncle Ron, if you happen to catch or hear any of this. I'm on my way. And Jason Graham and Dave Gardner I have here because when I first created this channel, I reached out to two people. I was still Patch 83 online more often than not. I'm still Patch 83 more often than not on certain devices than I am on others. I have like the Hockey Unreal device and the Patch 83 device. Although I will say this, one of the primary Patch 83 devices, the old touch tablet, tab book that I had, it's kind of gone kaput. It's bit the dust. And so maybe I'm Hockey Unreal more often than Patch 83 these days. And that could be one reason why. But the first night that I designed this channel and I uploaded the Doc Hockey video, I think one, the chicken before the egg there. I think one, or before the other, egg before chicken, whatever. Doesn't matter. I reached out to two people that first night, Jason Graham and Dave Gardner. And I said, and I just kind of wanted to, because Jason Graham as well, he doesn't have a channel anymore. And when he had a channel, it went under various names, various aliases. Aliases might be the wrong word there, but various identities, names, including Jason Graham, I think at one point, simply Jason Graham. Unbelievable, Tabletop Sports at another time, and some football related titles as well. Primarily a football player was Jason Graham, though he did a lot of boxing, a lot of baseball, some hockey. And also too with his Flash games, he had like Flash Racing, Flash Boxing, Flash, you name it. But they were the two people that I reached out to on day one, on night one, really, of this channel, and asked them if they could come and just have a look and any feedback, and I don't want to say like if they would be so kind to sub, but if it's more like if you like it, I'd like to think. I'm hoping anyway, like, don't get me wrong. Yeah, anytime that I see a like or a sub or even a view, click count, a comment, especially anything like that, comments are fantastic. Um, it feels good. It's a jolt. I appreciate all of it. It's much, I claim punk rock or whatever like that, but I'm at the same time, I'm not going to deny that anytime that I get that stuff, any of that, it feels really good. It's real. Um, so I guess I probably would have worded it to them like, if you feel like it, then it would be welcome, sort of thing. And so Jason, I know Jason's not doing this, actively anymore for, personal reasons that I can't pretend to know and wouldn't get into anyway, even if I did, because quite simply they are personal. But someone who I thought definitely deserves mention here, someone whom I highly respect, and I just really, really hope that he's doing well. And I understand and respect that, he's decided at this time, for, whatever reason, it's his that he's not, going to be as active. I don't think he is anyway in this community anymore. But, and for the record, I do have a game actually that's half designed, because I have multiple games that are in the process right now of being developed and created and designed or whatever, that is based quite a lot on his Flash hockey game. And it's a hybrid between that and Gary Brown's Grid Zone as well. And I'm telling you right now, and I'll use the right hand, I'm gonna buy Grid Zone the damn day that game gets released, because Grid Zone I've not played Grid Zone, but I was in Jason's fantasy Grid Zone league. I was a GM of a team in his league, and so I do have experience with that game. I do think that that's an incredibly well put together game. It's fantastic fictional sport. Is Gridball. Dave Gardner, I mean, really it goes without saying. I mean, anybody that's checking this out is probably familiar with Dave Gardner. And Dave Gardner really, I guess, was kind of, sort of, in compounded with Peter Miller and PJet from the hockey end of it anyway. Really kind of the impetus to move to going forward. Dave, of course, does a lot of hockey on his channel. He's not a hockey exclusive channel. And to mention replay basketball at least once more, some of my favorite content from Dave's actually probably his replay basketball content. But, of course, do bears do what they do in the woods? Does Dave do fantastic content? Absolutely. Yes, he does. And Dave definitely, I'm of the opinion, and I'm sure it's an opinion that's well shared, He's Dave has paid his dues. You know, Dave has done decades now of play-by-play, and I think possibly even also some color commentary. Dave has been on ESPN3, or at least on ESPN Network, and he's still doing it actively play by play. You can tell when you listen to Dave do play by play. When I listen to Dave do play by play, I'll be frank, I'll be honest, it's something that I wish and aspire to. It's something that I really wish that I could do as well as he does. You know, you listen to Dave say, sends it over to and swings it over to, and I swear that when I'm off camera, sometimes occasionally I'll do a little Daveism with the wifey if I have his video going, and anyway, I'll say something, but I know that on the spot now I'm gonna botch it even worse, so I'm not going to. But you know, Dave does what he does so well, and and again, like I said, you know, he's paid his dues. He's dedicated a lot of his life to hockey, and still, you know, at a very organized level, dedicates really a good. Hockey is basically Dave's life in a lot of ways, and so I'd be remiss not to give, you know, full credit, full due, and thanks to Dave here. And again, there are going to be some names on this board that I just, you know, you can kind of see, and I printed small, but like I kind of have run out of room. Al Red Sox fan. Al Red Sox fan. I think really for a lot of anything, any engagement, any like just, you know, subscriptions and comments and views and anything that I've gotten on this channel, a lot of it I really owe to Al. You know, Al is excellent at talking the way that he does. People come on if Al is aware. Al has his finger on the pulse of the community all the time, and so people, they come on, they check out Al Red Sox fans videos, and he's very quick to say, check out that wonderful channel. He'll give you like a little synopsis or whatever, briefly of what's on the channel. And I know really that's been so. I have Al really to thank again for a lot of my subs and views and everything like that. So I really can't thank Al enough for that. And Al is, you know, pretty active on my channel. I'm always happy to see him on the channel. And Al also, you know, does some hockey. And I remember actually a long time ago when my channel was relatively young, might have been just before it, and Al was doing a hockey video for a change. And it took on, Al took on a bit, I thought anyway, maybe I'm reading into it, you know, mentally, but I thought Al took on a bit of a personality change early in that game, at least. Like he sounded like really like, you know, you could tell that he could tell that it was something that he hadn't done as often. It was I want to say like an old Hartford Boston game or something, or no, Montreal. I think it was Montreal involved. And so, you know, it was an interesting, like a different kind of focus out of Al. Like he was really, you know, you could tell wanting to do a good job of it and on it and everything. And then of course some exciting plays happen, you know, goal fight or whatever, and then you get, you know, the Al that we all know and enjoy comes out. So, sorry, and wow, that was a hearty laugh there that was blowing these. That's a regret that I have with Martin's five dice hockey. I should have printed these on cardstock actually. So, you know, this is like the trial print of them. Anyway, so with Al Red Sox fan as well, I think before I get into some other things, I want to mention, and I thought about putting it here, but some regrets that I have, mistakes and advice, I think before I go any further with it, and that's that, and really almost kind of some apologies, you know, come to think of it. I know that in the early going, again, when I first uploaded that Doc Hockey video, which again, you know, I've said if Peter Miller had done a Doc Hockey video, or PJet had done a Doc Hockey video, or maybe Dave Gardner, if Dave Gardner learns how to play Doc Hockey, then I don't even know. You know, that was really sort of what got me going on this channel was, hey, there's not a Doc Hockey video, and I really enjoy the game Doc Hockey, and I really feel that Doc Hockey is, again, I've said this before, I really feel that it's up there with Shootout Hockey and Mike Owen's Quick Play Pro Hockey and the other best fast playing, if not instant, hockey games that are up there. But yet, you know, Shootout Hockey, deservedly so, is quite popular, quite well known in the community. And then I think also Mike Owen's Quick Play Pro Hockey as well. I think it's, you know, quite well known. It's been available for download for quite some time, and so that Doc Hockey, on the other hand, again, I got to thank, sincerely Michael Mitchell for keeping this game going and producing some seasons for it. And I've acquired and played multiple seasons. Recently, I have a WHA video season upload that I've done as well for the game Doc Hockey. I've played as much or more Doc Hockey than I have any other hockey game. As long as you don't miss penalties. If you don't miss penalties in hockey, and I've heard other hockey players, and I've echoed their sentiments about penalties just kind of muck up, mess up, and slow down and kind of drag the hockey game through the mud sometimes. Doc Hockey, you get away from that. You avoid all that. You're generating a score, but there is flow and progression in the game. Relative offense and defense strength matters. Your setup strength matters. Team defense matters on occasion. Goaltending strength matters on occasion. So there really is all of that in the game. It's simple and fast playing, and simple is not a put down at all. I would argue there is beauty in the simplicity, and I'd say that about a few different hockey games. Man, if you can take something and boil it down and deliver it in a way that it's simple, or as Dave Gardner might say, flow. Dave loves to use the word flow. I love to hear Dave using the word flow. Then that's really an excellent thing. But some regrets that I have, I would say that after that Doc Hockey video, it did better than I thought it would, and I'm embarrassed to say this now. But I'll admit it. I'm a flawed, imperfect human being. I'm a big kid. Maybe part of that played into it as well. The eternal kid. Actually, there's something. There was a term in the punk scene over here for a little while. The East Asian punk scene, the Korean punk scene. This notion of the eternal kid, which I kind of happened onto for a little while, and really like that sentiment in some of the music over here, or the noise over here, if you don't want to call it music. I don't really care either way. But I was eager again. I wanted to show, because that was a Doc Hockey video, so I wanted to do some more just play stuff, and I wasn't as confident and didn't really have. Not that I necessarily have that together now, because I'm always trying to improve, but I didn't necessarily have the style and the substance together, and I would make some mistakes, and I did have a harder time talking than I think so far anyway, than I'm seeming to have today thus far. And so I know that I made some mistakes in some of those games early on, and quite regrettably so. And maybe I shouldn't have uploaded some things that I uploaded, and maybe I was just asking for it, and maybe even I lost the respect of some people in the community, and maybe I turned some people away in the community who have since not come back to my content, and I feel regret about that. I know I've had some people who've only ever commented on my content actually to point out a mistake or a criticism, which, by the way, I do enjoy. So please, especially again, if you're not rude about it, if you're not obscene and like cursing or whatever, and what the blah 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 are you doing here? Like, if it's nothing like that, like, put it up, leave it there. Thank you, I appreciate that. So, and others as well, so they're not misled, they're not led astray. But I'm never going to be perfect. I know that, but sometimes maybe I feel like, and I have done some stuff that it was mistake filled, and I'm like, okay, I'm not uploading this. I'm tired. I'm not in the right frame of mind to do this right now. There are some videos that will never see the light of day. Some of them are unlisted or private. Some of them just never got uploaded in the first place. And then sometimes too, I do have a playlist. I've not updated it in a while, called Tool Time. And for anybody that's too young, that goes with Tim Allen playing Tim Taylor on the show Home Improvement in the 1990s. And he had this segment during the show called Tool Time, and this brand of tools called Binford, sort of your Dunder Mifflin of, your Scranton Dunder Mifflin of, brands on shows. This one being in the 90s. And of course, Tim Allen playing Tim Taylor was famous for messing up and making every show a mess and a disaster. And so some of my videos where I just do these screw ups, like one time I was so tired and I was trying to play Paradise, but because the engine for Impact Hockey is kind of Impact Play Hockey, sorry, there I go messing up the title of one of my own games. It's Impact Play Hockey because you're just measuring the moment of impact every so many seconds. But anyway, I started playing Impact Play Hockey because it is kind of similar to Paradise. And I was just tired that evening, but I hadn't done a Paradise video. So I did get eager to get some content up. I wanted to represent some of the hockey games that I enjoyed. I was a little impatient. And in doing so, the content was not the kind of quality that I would like for it to have been. And so going forward, I will take down some of those videos. I know, like the first couple of Bones videos, I mean, goodness, I did the whole I was reading the same dice as the shooter for the goalie. And again, that's a combination, not to make a lame excuse, but to offer an explanation. I really think that was a combination of it was nerves and inactivity, and then also eagerness to just get bones on camera. And I can't really explain it. I don't know if anybody else has ever. I know Steve Tower, whose also name could be here, whose content I again, like with baseball demos, don't check it out always or even often necessarily, but do enjoy what I check out. I get ideas from Steve Tower, for instance, if I can get it here within arm's reach. I have my laminated score sheet, my score sheet, my reusable score sheet for hockey. This is Paradise Hockey score sheet laminated. I've used this now probably, dozens of times, 100 times or close to it. It's getting a bit scuffed here and there, but I mean, the amount of uses that I'll get out of this before I will maybe finally need to replace it, it's just so much better than having paper pile up, and I can take a picture after the game of the score sheet and store it digitally. And I've been doing that since about midway through, two or maybe three, 2/3 or 3/4 of the way through this project here, which I'll get to next. And it's really served me well. And again, that's an idea that I got from Steve Towers. So with what content of Steve Towers that I check out, Tower, like I know him personally, it's influenced me well. And I really like something that he said. I think it was in the Digital to Dice interview. Shout out again to Ron Juckett. I knew I'd get back to talking about Uncle Ron and Dave and Digital to Dice as well. And what Steve said on there about the camera lowering 10 IQ points, and it's like, yes, yes, and I'm not saying that I'm some smarty, that I'm some genius, off camera. Conversely, actually, what I'm saying is that those are 10 IQ points that I could really use. I need all the help I can get sometimes. So it's a shame, actually, that the camera comes on and that those IQ points get lowered. I can go no further without thanking Alan, Alan Shaw, Brian, he liked to be known as Coach B, Ken Castro, I think pretty well known in the community, famous, and I want to joke and say infamous. Hopefully Ken takes it, in stride and not too hard. Ken knows, what I'm saying there. I like it that Ken actually reaches out to me with the occasional Hockey Bones gaming update still. We've bonded on that. Larry, he appears as Larry Rice in comments. He's Mr. Aloha in Delphi. I don't think he minds saying that. Larry, of course, buddy, as someone whom I've befriended, can happily say that over this time that I'll take this video down if you're uncomfortable with that in any way. But he's Mr. Aloha in Delphi. He's so helpful and so supportive of other people in doing their projects as well. And I try to be the same way because I see and am influenced by people like Larry who do it so well. Oli, Mr. Creativity, man. Oli's got some excellent, you want to talk about an under the radar channel or whatever. And he doesn't, and maybe Oli is somewhat like myself, maybe Oli to the extent of, if he's not in the mood to upload, he's not going to. But Oli is, he's very resourceful. He's very creative. And he's really an excellent part of the community, and he's got some really good content, some really, again, innovative, creative content. And I've handed off some stuff. Actually, I have Oli to thank for Impact Play Hockey. I showed very little interest to no interest, basically, in the game for a good long while. And Oli kept joking me. I was calling the game I Play Hockey at the time because I printed it on an A4, and Impact Play, I couldn't fit the font on there, and so I shortened it to I Play last second. I don't know. You can tell me, actually, if you're still listening at this point in comments and you happen to catch this, if you think I Play Hockey is a better name than Impact Play. I don't want any affiliation with Apple. That's not necessarily a direct put down of Apple. I just don't want it sounding like, I don't want my hockey game sounding like some app that you would download on your iPhone or whatever, because that's definitely not what it is. At least not yet. That's a pipe dream at best, and probably not even. But again, I have to thank these guys because I mentioned all their names. For a project that we did, I think I called it the Fictional Six. We took the 2005 NHL season that never happened, but for which Hockey Bones cards, player cards were generated. And we did a draft, and we looked at what the league would look like as an original six in 2005 and how strong and how stacked the teams would be. And and it was a really good, really close competition. You know, my team finished first overall in the regular season that we did, and then crapped out in the playoffs to Alan's team and Mike freaking Madonna, who I really wanted to draft. I left this apartment. I was walking down the street. I got the buzz. I got the update. He drafted Madonna. I tucked my tail between my legs and waddled home, I guess, with a long face, and then ended up having to take Mario Lemieux instead. And Lemieux did shine actually in one game against Alan's team, but Alan, I hesitate to call any project a favorite project, and I don't know if I'll do. I know I have a playlist about my favorite projects and stuff. That was a little bit more actually for the pre-channel stuff. I kind of wanted to use that as a way, a platform or whatever, to talk about some stuff that I did before the Hockey Unreal channel. So I don't know, but maybe if I do another video, I'll do something like that for this, but I feel like there's so much content up there already. For complete transparency, I did want to upload every single minute of every single game again, knowing that this stuff wouldn't be checked out necessarily by a whole lot of people, and that's totally fine. Those videos are very long, and I think they have some of the least viewfare and the most dislikes, which I would like to think some of it at least would come from some people that, their team lost or whatever, and that's completely understandable and fun even. So but yeah, especially again for, I can go no further without saying we did a draft. We organized a draft online. Between the six of us, I want to say we're in at least like 4 different time zones, because I am in East Asia right now. We are in not just like, we're not talking a couple hours apart from one another. We are in some very radically different time zones. I'd be saying good morning as these guys be saying good night, and we'd be trying to exchange a few picks. The fact that we did a 21 round draft, and I don't remember exactly how long it took, but I know that I threw up a ballpark for how long it would or could take, and it ended up being significantly less than that. So I was very grateful for that. As you can hear my wife do some clap dance yoga in the other room. Thank her too. She's very supportive of this. She wishes me a good luck, best of luck, kind of, we're cheesy like that with one another, before I do a video like this, but she's very supportive of this. So again, guys, hopefully I've thanked you enough here, but I greatly appreciate it. Hopefully you do all the time. Put in Oli again, as well as an aside for supporting iPlay, and then I guess I'll just move on to, and there I feel like I need a sip. This was iced coffee at one point. One of the 3 thumbnails that I took, I might upload it just to show. I've been drinking warm normally at this time of year. I do enjoy ice though all year round. And it's something that I have to watch a little more given recent events, which I won't get into too much detail about, but I know that it didn't help certain things. Anyway, I'll try to behave a little better in the new year in 2022. Great hockey games. I mean, come on, this channel's Hockey Unreal, right? So again, I'm not going to get into and be able to mention all of them, and some of them, I mean, if you just quick glance at this channel, you'd already know what they are. But definitely I have to thank not only great hockey games, but great hockey game designers, because again, they influence me. They give me something to aspire to. They are, in their own way, inspiration. I'm making games. I'm not, really trying to compete with anybody for that. I'm trying, hopefully anyway, just to offer something else, just to sort of enrich the enriching, is that even a word? Enrich the landscape, just kind of, have a little more color going on in the palette, a little more diversity. And then so hockey game designers, and then Tim Plum got a mention. I've been fortunate to be able to speak to Tim Plum personally a couple of times. Peter Miller's mentioned this about Tim Plum as well. He takes great care of his customers. There's really that personal touch with Tim. And I know that Tim, again, he's very accessible. He's someone that I can reach out to. And of course, Hockey Bones is my favorite hockey game. I don't play it, and that's not to put down any other game in saying so. Hockey Bones is not only my favorite hockey game, it's my favorite game in general, because I do, believe it or not, enjoy some games that have nothing to do with hockey. I still rank Hockey Bones above them. Recently, I've taken on a bit of a Splendor kick, bit of a Splendor addiction, but still in the long run on the desert island, especially with a lot of idle time on my hands, if I'm on that desert island, I'm like replaying the history of everything with Hockey Bones. So just mechanically far ahead of its time, and just an incredibly well-designed game. And over in the PT Games forum, you have Doc Dave, Doc Savage, Sauvage, and Tim, and of course Mr. Aloha is over there as well. And I'm probably actually overdue. I'm probably behind by some threads. I know Ira posts over there, and I'm really really grateful to see. And hopefully I've had some small part in that, because this is a game that I love so much and want to support. I will say humbly that hopefully I'd like to think, I've in some positive way. I know some people, I don't need to point at who, but I already kind of have. I do the content and maybe I leave them worse off. I certainly don't mean to. I try to explain things and maybe they end up being a little more confused with how the game is done. But that's certainly not what I'm trying to do. So, and it's not necessarily for everybody, but oh my goodness, is it for me? And again, that probably sounds cheesy, but again, there was the Peter Miller walkthrough. There was I'm sitting at the desk. I had like when they figure out who Kaiser Soze is, that aha moment, and things and dice and numbers and words on the page and the cards, and everything just kind of came together and clicked. And there was just this utopia and this euphoric feeling. And as much as I love other games, I've never gotten that with any other game. Like everything just kind of clicked. And I just realized, like, wow, and it's not a perfect game. No game is. My game is certainly not. And I'm not trying to put down my own game. I'm not going to put down anything that I've worked tremendously hard on doing. And if anything, too, in doing this, to get back to why I'm designing games, if I didn't have an immense respect prior for it, and I like to think that I did, for people who, and not just hockey, people who take the time to design their own game from start to finish. Jason Graham's done a ton of them. Al's been working on a football game for a while. PJet, you might as well, for PJet and Dave Gardner as well, for the number of modifications that they've made on games and really kind of made games their own. They deserve credit here too. And Oli, of course. Anybody that endeavors to do innovative, augmentative stuff like that for hockey games, I have the greatest amount of respect for. And so and especially, if anything, that great amount of respect has been made even greater by actually sitting down and trying to design my own games, of which Impact Play Hockey is only one. I have kind of 3.5 to 4.5 games, things on the go if any day. I might even want to increase that number to 5 or 6. I've recovered and started walking again and going on walks, and I'm almost afraid to leave the house and get too far from the house, because I either come up with an idea for a game or a variant on a game. So it's scary, actually. Anyway, hockey game players, again, a lot of helpful people in Delphi. I've talked about Larry, but there's, CKY, who I'm convinced CKY is like secretly an octopus or somehow robotic with 8 arms. CKY is he's omnipresent. She or he is everywhere, and always doing all kinds of different seasons. And man, like, I think I play a lot of hockey, but there's CKY, there's HUH77, and I know I'm going to forget a few names as well. I talked about PJet, aka Seals Fan 1 on Delphi, how it feels like there's something right with the universe when he's doing a project and posting actively, because something that I've not mentioned, but Pete knows this. When I was looking to, like, how am I going to upload, post content on Delphi, and what do I want it to look like? I think I've taken on some of my own style, but definitely I styled what I did after Seals Fan 1, aka PJet, in the early going. PJet, who also sold me on shootout hockey, when, I wanted to, as some might, because again, that was another reason why I started designing. Tim Plum knows this. We've talked about this. I started designing my own game. Here's a regret or a mistake, even before Hockey Unreal ever got going. And you're thinking, oh, he's getting off topic. Yes, I am. It's my party. That's not my party, but it's my anniversary, damn it. So I will ramble if I want to. So before I started playing a lot of these games, when my experience with hockey, tabletop hockey gaming, dated all the way back to the 1990s and Stratomatic and some of the best, geekiest damn fun that I ever had. I do have one video here where I show my fictional 6 league. I had the 1960 cards, redrafted the entire league, because I just figured that Montreal, again, it was season 5 of 5, the 5th cup in a row. They might be a little too competitive, blah, blah, blah. Even as a Habs fan, that's not fun for me. I want to go into a game thinking anything can happen here, the outcome being a little more up in the air than that. So I redrafted the league, tried to put together 6 pretty, again, even competitive teams. And it stuck with me. Again, I played some other one-offs. I had the 1995 cards, but Montreal sucked that year, that shortened season. They didn't make the playoffs. And and I used to like to match the Red Wings of 95 against some of those 60 teams as well. The Red Wings in 95 Stratomatic did pretty darn well against those teams. They're pretty hard to beat in the tabletop. But again, other than that, I didn't really have any experience. And so I was getting more back into hockey in general because it's easy to get away from hockey, actually, being in East Asia. And so I did that for several years too. I was, I really took the lockout hard, the 2012 or 13 lockout there. And anyway, but getting back into hockey, the hockey guy helped with that, to give him another mention here. And then in the off season, I was so back into hockey that I was missing hockey. And so I know some people, I've noticed that maybe that's one way that I'm different and weirder than other people, and maybe this is why I'm a hockey purist and I'm in the right place doing a hockey only channel like Baseball Demos is a baseball only channel, is that during the off season, I notice other tabletop gamers, they play other sports. It's baseball season, they play baseball, they have football, whatever, right? I miss hockey, so I play hockey. I probably play even more hockey in the NHL off season than I do. Like 2020 during the pandemic pause, man, I belted out a full of 1947 season replay. I think I did the full damn season with Mike Owens Quick Play Pro Hockey, which is a faster playing game. But I did it in 5 or 6 weeks, including playoffs, plus what I called a goodwill one-off best of 7 between Boston and Montreal, because Boston had Montreal's number all season long in that project. And it did go to Game 7, actually, and even though it looks like Montreal should win that, Boston just had their number. So that's been a thing too. Boston, again, as a Habs fan, much to my chagrin, Boston on this desktop. I think it's kind of funny. I'm amused by it. I don't, I might say snarky things or whatever, but I really do, as a Habs fan, think that it's amusing that Boston consistently and regularly outperforms. They overachieve and they outperform expectations on my desktop. On this desktop here, I'm not talking a desktop computer, but this dang thing here. Anyway. So getting back again, hockey game players of this community, I really, and I'm giggling at myself here because I don't know how I try to segue, to transition, to circle my way back to that. Been really helpful. So many people, more than I could name here, have been really helpful in Delphi. Sometimes I've posted like a practice period that I did of Doc or some other game, and Bones, I did that. Hey, does it look like I have the hang of this? And for which Dave is fantastic. Savage Dave. At pointing out every little thing that I did, and even still from time to time, I'll post things from a hockey game or whatever. I did it for Inside the Crease. Shout out to Inside the Crease, another great game that's not really mentioned here. But I will get into Inside the Crease below here when I mention some things. So I want to talk a little bit as well, about the end of 2021 and then into 2022. And if this is too long for anybody, I'm sorry. This is how I want to do it, The Saints, the Australian punk band, the Saints, they have the Nights in Venice. That's like a 5.5, 6 minute long song, and a song that I love, and a song that I'm pretty sure that Nirvana loves as well, and I'll leave it at that. So yeah, punk doesn't have to be just what the Ramones did. It can be anything. That was just the aesthetic, the musical aesthetic of it. And anyway, getting off topic, of course. So for the end of 2021 into 2022, I've decided with this alt playoffs here, and again, shout out to Martin for putting together this fun game. I think for the live stream, because I've hinted at it a time or two, I've decided I'm just going to keep it simple, not going to put any pressure on myself any more than needed. I've only really done a few live streams. I've done 100 videos or whatever, but only a couple of live. I can count on one hand, I think, the number of live streams that I've done. I'm just going to do the Cup final. I'm going to come on. I'm going to do a best of 7. I'm not going to do the non-elimination off camera. I'm going to start from game 1 and just roll it out. It'll probably take, I don't know, it could take an hour or so. It depends really on the series length itself, how competitive it is, how many goals are scored in the games and things like that. But I'm just going to do straight up best of 7. Keep it simple. Keep it simple is what I'm going to try to do, because that's something I struggle with at times, much as I'd like to. I'm also, I think, a second event that I would like to live stream, I think, just to kind of add to it, is the 2021 Clash of Champions. This one will be at least as long as this one. We're not going to talk Al Red Sox fan epic length live stream or anything like that, but I think I'm going to try to get these in. I know there are only a few days to work with by year's end. I might do this one before this one, actually, in that regard. For 2021, even though one was from a project that I started late in 2020, that being the second one here, the Clash, sorry, not the Clash, that's this, the League of Champions and Presidents, which the 1982 New York Islanders, I have a video in the early days of this channel where they came on and Mike Bossy, the frickin' Montreal-born Mike Bossy, went through Montreal like a tornado. And he'd done it in some games earlier in that series as well, but could not deny it. That was very obviously done in one take. So if I had another take, hopefully Montreal would have a chance. But after winning the flukiest of fluke game sixes, which I don't think I video recorded, I went on camera for game seven, and the everything came up Islanders. Even Montreal had a decent third period. It didn't matter. The Islanders had enough of a cushion. I've totally spoiled it now. But still, Mike Bossy just ripped through them. So again, as a Habs fan, I have the 82 Islanders who can be seen in an early video. If I were more tech savvy, I actually put clips in this video of that happening. Maybe I'll try to unearth those and link to those at the end screen to this video. Maybe that's what I'll do if I can remember to. Just waxing on now. But anyway, Bossy tore through them. And then the 83 Boston Bruins, who I was a pretty good Mike Owens, Quick Play Pro Hockey Redemption League, what if team, the 1970 Montreal Canadiens. Yeah, they made the play, or failed to make the playoffs, sorry. But that's because the West Division sucked and the East Division was strong. Montreal was 5th overall in the NHL that season. 5th or 6th. No, I'm pretty sure they were 5th. 5th or 6th anyway. Totally should have been in the top 8 to qualify for the playoffs that season, but that isn't how things were done. So I had them as part of my Mike Owens Quick Play Pro Hockey Redemption League. And they did pretty well in the regular season, though the writing was on the wall. They slumped a bit down the stretch. And 83 Boston just took flight in the playoffs. Boston, who had kind of an up and down season, I did a shortened and condensed 32-game regular season for that one, and then best of 7 quarters, semis, and final. And Boston just really, again, they took flight. It's funny because the 72 Rangers that lost to some really good Boston teams in the 70s, if it weren't for them, the 72 Rangers probably could have enjoyed a cup, maybe two, in the early 70s there. A strong 72 Rangers team. It was Boston's night. I actually did. That's one of the few that I did live stream. I had that on camera. So I want to come back to the Clash of Champions. And I said this before in a video a while ago. I've not forgotten. It will be the 82 Islanders, and it's going to be 2 games of Mike Owens Quick Play Pro Hockey. I think I'll do those ones last. And I'm going to start out with 2 games of shootout hockey, the 83 Bruins and the 82 Islanders. Goals will roll over into the following games. So that's going to be, again, a bit of a twist, a bit of a stipulation, or whatever you want to call it, is that say that the Islanders, I don't know, say that, so one team could win the first 3 games. And if they lose game 4 by a blowout, they're going to lose. It's going to be a total goals series. I want to do things a little differently. So dare I say, I hope some people might come along and check this out and support it. Again, that goes against my whole ask nothing and appreciate everything, which I do and I adhere to, because really I think it'd be really hard for me if I did not. I have absolutely no problem with people, and I said this again in a recent video as well, who want to be a good YouTuber and want to do things the way that YouTubers do it and the way that YouTubers, content creators recommend that you do it. I really don't think that would work well for me personally. It might work well for a lot of other people, and that's terrific if it does. I just don't think it works for me. And if it means I have fewer subs and my growth is slower and everything like that because of it, then so be it. I want to really do something that, for various personality, social anxiety reasons, I want to do something that I do have a hard time doing at times, and that's be myself, when I'm on camera. So And again, it's harder for me at sometimes than at others. Just yesterday, I played back that video. I went, wow, Hockey Unreal sounds... I didn't realize the full extent of it. I sounded like a bit of a bundle of nerves. I had just screwed up the game before on a goal that I called it a breakaway goal, but it was a rare event, and I carried that with me into yesterday's video, and then I messed up again a time or two. So I've got to get over it. It's psychological, and it's mental, and it's psychological, and I could hear it. Maybe no one else can hear it, but I could hear it in my voice when I played that back. So other things going forward, though, because I do see this one's nearing an hour now. Impact Play Hockey. I made the mistake a month or two ago. I think it was two actually, but of saying that I was very confident in it, that I get it out soon. 2 months is still soon, right? I'm still working on it, still working on getting it done and getting it out. I go back and forth on it. And honestly, too, again, recently, I think it was while I was out on a walk, I thought of a variation, kind of a, I thought I have two variants for Doc. And one of them is like a whole new game where it's like a hybrid of impact play and Doc kind of combined. And so there's that. And it's like chess, because I'm a chess geek as well. There is, even if a lot of the combinations are bad, there is like basically a near infinite number of possibilities on the board. Again, even if a lot of those possibilities are bad, there is still, an endless, seemingly endless combination of variations and variations on those variations. Games by request. I claim I claim I've said in a few times in this video, I think already that, I want to do what I want to do. I do what I want, blah, blah, blah. With that said, I'm also an indecisive person. Sometimes I want to do two or three things at once. So even if selfishly so, I'm hoping that games by request, if I bring it back, it will help clarify that. And I might do a video actually where I focus on this more specifically and I get into the active projects that I'm into. Please, if you see it and if you check it out, please request something from an active project. I'm not averse to doing a one-off, but compared to some other people, and again, I have no problems with this. It works for you. It doesn't necessarily work for me. I don't stockpile seasons. Again, in 2021, where anything that you say could potentially offend somebody, I'm careful to use a word like hoard. I don't mean it in a negative way. When I say it, again, I completely understand the logic and the reasoning and even the want to do that. It's been tempting for me to do it at times, but I tend to acquire the seasons that I intend to use at least not that long after acquiring them. So what I'm trying to say here is if I do a games by request, if you're expecting, oh, he's hockey, I'm real, he probably has umpteen 60, 70, 80 seasons of whatever game that I request. That's not necessarily the case. I own and play I own the seasons that I use and the games that I play. But games by request, I do want to bring it back because, as I mentioned, I am kind of an indecisive person, and so maybe you can help me decide what to play, my channel next when I do a just play that, again, I know they get fewer videos than others, whatever. I want to do them from time to time. If they did them from time to time, I might not even do what I do. And I know Dave does them from time to time as well. He throws up a project play, and he's got a great variety of them. Yes, Hockey Bones. Again, just to get back to it, if I haven't already commented on it enough or said it enough, like, I really wonder where my own, and this is not a dump on Stratomatic because I wouldn't be here if it weren't for Stratomatic in some sense, but I really wonder how it might have gone differently had Bones been the game that I discovered, or Face Off, maybe it was called then, it was called then actually, back in the 1990s. I just wonder, again, as an adolescent, as a young, just young teenager then, how things, maybe they wouldn't have been different. Bones, again, it took me a while. I as much as I love Bones now, I'm somewhat ashamed to say at this point I had it for about a year before I finally went, okay, I'm going to take Peter Miller's walkthrough, and oh my goodness, I'm going to go and away I went with it. So yeah, Bones, again, it's my favorite game, meaning it's also my favorite hockey game. And yeah, at the end, I thought, yeah, I'm going to put Hockey Bones. And again, I guess I've left off some names in doing so, but a big thank you, a big shout out, I guess, to Hockey Bones. Again, I might not necessarily play it all the time, but it's there for me at the risk of sounding cheesy, Hallmark cardy, tacky, sentimental, or whatever. I just love that it's absolutely there, whenever I need it. And I do have a number of seasons now for it. And I think, honestly, and this will sound a bit strange, but it's because I like it so much. It's because I get so into it and get gone and so far away when I do, that maybe it doesn't come to the desktop or the table as often as the other quick playing, hockey games, which I also obviously really like and really enjoy. I wouldn't play them if I don't. That's another thing too. I do stuff that I enjoy, if there is a video, if there is a game that comes on camera, it means that I enjoy that game. I have not enjoyed every hockey game that I've ever played, but I don't talk publicly about the ones that I don't, because I don't want to influence negatively anybody else's experience. There might be a game that I don't like that could be your favorite hockey game of all time, and that's completely okay. That doesn't affect me negatively in the slightest. If anything, that the opposite, that makes me happy. Power to you if you can be met with a game that you can enjoy and appreciate as much as I do with Hockey Bones. So anyway, probably the moment that I turn this off, I'm going to think of some stuff that I did not say that I wanted to say. But I really did my best here, as I always try to do. It's weird to say try to do your best, but that's kind of a thing, I think. And oh dear, there's that hearty breath filled, emitting forward air from the mouth laugh again. So through the mistakes, through the trial and error, through the first year of this, again, thank you to everybody tremendously for the support. Even if you're somebody who's subbed and decided that this wasn't for you, maybe I did something that you didn't like, and sorry about that. I mean, I'm going to do what I do, but I never intentionally want to put anybody off. I don't want to be off-putting to anybody. So even if that's the case for you, but you happen to catch this because it pops in your recommended and you hit the wrong thing accidentally, or whatever the case may be, thank you for the time that you've given me. Even if it's better than nothing at all. It all counts for something. So I really do appreciate that. I appreciate anyone who, just as I did for a long time on YouTube, even if you're just checking this out anonymously, so you're not leaving any engagement or anything like that, it's still a view. It still counts for something, and it's it's still greatly appreciated. I do. I appreciate. I don't look at them often, simply because I think if I looked at them often, that would affect me. I've talked a couple of times about certain things that would affect me. I know thyself just enough. I know myself and my personality that if I started to do that, it'd be a slippery slope. I get a little too into that, a little too into clicking refresh. How many does it have now? When am I going to get my next this, that, or the other, blah, blah, blah. So I really try to avoid that, even to the point where I'm squinting when I look at the screen. I look away from certain things because I tell myself, well, that doesn't really matter to me. That's not why I'm doing this. But I do notice it when I notice it, when I make a point to notice it, because inevitably I do sometimes, and I do appreciate every little bit of it. So once again, if I haven't said it enough, and I can't really say it enough, I just want to say, thank you very much to everybody. For any support that you've given me over the past year. Cheers to you. Sorry that actually it's at this point in the video when I go to do, how does one really do a cheers to their phone? Maybe I should come up with this over the side like that and give it a nudge, but not as many in the community say cheers. I kind of want to have my own thing. Sorry if it's something that you don't like. If it's something you don't like, suggest an alternative. Maybe I'll give it a shot. But even though I don't drink, I'm not a drinker at all. Coffee is my vice. Coffee and junk food are my vices. And it's been that way for a very long time. Cheers. I say cheers, and please as well enjoy the games you enjoy. I haven't said that enough already, and some other people I know when they say that in their channel, and I got to come up with my own version of that. But I really, really enjoy. I'm like, yeah, I should throw that in there because I mean to say it, and I really do mean it as well. It makes me happy when I go on Delphi and I go elsewhere and I see people in the community. Like CKY again, T-Liz as well. I got to thank T-Liz for and I know there are some numbers after that username, but for giving me the idea that, hey, I'm going to follow. I've gotten so many great ideas, from Delphi and from comments, and just that have informed and influenced and inspired my own projects or replays. I use the word projects, but I mean replays too sometimes. What ifs are more like projects though. But again, I don't know, I'm reluctant to say goodbye on this one, but cheers, thank you, bye for now. And here's why, because there's something that I wasn't entirely sure if I wanted to do, but yes, somebody even joked recently that it's like I'm a hand model on camera, to which I'll just say that for what I do for a living, my job, I'm on camera on any given week from Monday to Friday, normally between 25 hours, sometimes even a little above 25 hours. And so actually, I really regret now. I'm like, oh, my lips are dry and stuff like that. So I don't know. Oh, you can't even see me anyway. So anyway, normally this is not what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm not going to do that. But again, I guess, to say face to face in person, thank you. All right. So there, I don't want to end with that. Anyway, cheers, thanks, and bye for now.